Have you ever wondered why legendary artists feel threatened by up-and-coming superstars? Whether it's Frank Sinatra and Elvis, Etta James and Beyonce, Eric Clapton and Led Zeppelin, it seems like established artists always feel threatened by the new people coming up under them. In this episode, we're going to take a deep dive as to why that is. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Music Maniacs with Sight After Dark, the podcast where we talk about music and we just so happen to be maniacs about it. So this is an interesting topic. I'm going to let Sifa, this was Sifa's idea for a topic, so I'm going to let you tell the people what made you think of doing this, because I think it's a very interesting idea.
Yeah, well, I was looking at a short the other day. I was on YouTube. Usually I'm on a body cam video, but I decided.
I don't know why, but I love seeing things go wrong.
I decided to look at something else, and it was a short of Jimi Hendrix playing the blues, right? Playing it so soulfully, so tastily. I was into it. And then I look up at the caption, and it said Albert King said that Jimi Hendrix could not play the blues.
How dare he?
Right?
What does Albert King know about the blues?
Yeah.
What does B.B. King know about the blues?
That's
Are they
pretty
even king?
wild. Exactly. It's
Yeah.
not like they have one of them has a house of blues or anything like that.
No, that would be insane.
Mm-hmm.
But it is an interesting topic because I feel like this does come up not only in music, but in a lot of things. I feel like people that are established oftentimes feel threatened by people that are gaining traction that are younger than them.
Uh-huh.
But obviously this is a music podcast. We're going to talk about music. There's a few examples that we have. I think the one that you originally, came to me about was Sinatra and Elvis, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mentioned them after I sent you the actual short of
True.
Jimi Hendrix. Because I wanted more people to talk about, not just Hendrix and King.
Right. But I do think that, that was a long that I just did there. I think that the Sinatra versus Elvis one is a really good one to start with because there's so many aspects to it. So let's explain this like nobody knows who either of these people are.
Because this is when music began.
Yes, there was never music before the 1900s. It didn't exist. Anyone that says that it's true, they're playing mind games with you, okay? It's propaganda. Don't listen to them. Okay, so let's act like nobody knows who Frank Sinatra or Elvis is, and we're the harbingers. Is that the word? Of light.
Yeah.
For these musical artists. Okay, so Frank Sinatra basically was the biggest singer of the 1940s. Right? Nobody was as famous as Sinatra. He was the prototypical crooner. Right?
Yeah.
What's the? Didn't they have a word for it? Like they would call his fans like the Bobby Soxers or whatever. They had like a whole thing going on, right? And this was in like the 40s. So Sinatra was like the most famous in this style, right? He's singing, he has this beautiful voice. Nobody was more successful than him. He was doing music, he was doing movies, he was an absolute superstar. And his musical style, to us it seems very old school now. It was more like jazz influenced, like his way of singing and his phrasing was very jazzy. A lot of the instrumentals were very like jazz-based instruments, things like that. So he's top of the game, right? This is in the 40s. Then, once you get to the late 50s, this whole rock and roll thing is happening. And the most famous, most successful person in that movement was a man named Elvis Presley.
Right.
If you've ever heard of him. And Frank Sinatra was not a fan. At first, anyway. And I think it's really funny because it's when you put yourself in Frank's shoes, like he must have felt so threatened by Elvis. You know what I mean? But I think there's so many reasons, and I'll say a few, and then obviously I want to hear your take on it. But I feel like the biggest reason isn't even like him thinking, oh, maybe I'm not good at music anymore. But it's like these two styles of music are so different that if you get to a point where you're singing these jazz songs and then all of a sudden rock and roll is becoming huge, you would think to yourself, oh man, maybe I don't know what's cool anymore. Maybe the youth are just going in a direction that has absolutely nothing to do with me and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
And maybe you kind of want to lash out at this person who may be getting a lot of fame and a lot of success, maybe you're a little jealous of this person.
Yeah.
Because he's at the level of fame that you once were.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I think it's interesting. Why do you think that would have been one of the main reasons for that?
Yeah, I definitely think it's that. It has a lot to do with insecurity. You know, artists are very sensitive people, and it has to do with youth culture. If you're a pop star, you're driving the youth culture, so everything cool is you. And then suddenly, 10 years pass by, and you're not a kid anymore, you know, and you probably haven't realized it, but the new person that comes along, hardcore makes you realize it. So I think that that's one of the reasons why Frank's insecurity and his realization that he just wasn't young, quote unquote, not old for the earth.
You're not old for the earth. You're just old for this club. Yeah, I think that has I can't even talk today. What's going on? What's going on in my brain? I think that has a big part to do with it. And I think it's just funny because, like, you think about, like, the timeline, because it's not really that much of a difference. You're talking about, like, early 40s to late 50s. But I was thinking about it today, and I'm like, okay, so if you were born at the height of Frank's success, right? Let's say 43, right? Then by 1957, when Elvis is coming out, you're a teenager. Like, you are the youth. Like, it's not... Like, when you just look at the years, it doesn't really seem that far apart. But when you're 15, like, you don't think about it like that. You think, this is what's going on. This is what's cool. So all of a sudden, this new generation is coming up. It's not that long, really. It doesn't feel like a new generation for you. Like, for me and you, like, 15 years ago, I mean, we were different people. You know, we've grown a lot since then. But I don't think about it like, that's been a generation ago.
Right.
You know what I mean? But yeah, like 15 years ago, I mean, I'm really bad at math. I'm 31. What's 31 minus 15? It's
20,
embarrassing.
29. Well, 15 minus 15. Well, 15 plus 15 is 30. So you just add a 1 somewhere.
30 minus 15 would have been 15.
Mm-hmm. So you just add a 1.
Right? So I would have been 16. Okay, yeah. So think about it like that. Like I would have been 16 then. I don't feel like there's been a whole nother generation of people since I've been 16, but there is a whole nother generation of people that are now as old as I was then.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And,
so
and right now they're into...
When you think about it.
Yeah. Because, like, right now they're into K-pop. I'm not. You know?
Yeah.
So it's a real big difference.
I know a few people way older than me that are obsessed with K-pop, but that's a whole different story. You know what are these people I'm talking about, I think.
I know who she is. Like, yeah.
Shout out to everyone. Shout out to all the Koreans.
Mm-hmm. And your Korean skincare lines. But yeah, we were talking about this, one of our reaction videos. We did a reaction to a song called Baker Street by Jerry Rafferty. And I was saying how I grew up hearing the intro to this song and how it sounded so old when I was a kid and stuff. Exactly. And now that I'm older, I really do like and appreciate the song. But when you're in, like, just getting to your double digits and stuff, you don't want to hear anything from 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Like, I'm a huge Eagles fan and always have been. But when I was 16, if somebody broke out an Eagles record, I would be like, come on.
That's how I felt about the Beach Boys. Like, I thought they were so lame. And then now as a more mature person, I listen to that music and I'm like, that's just good music. Like, I don't care what the era was or what they're talking about. Like, it's just beautiful music. So yeah, that's something that carries through as well. But I want to keep the convo going because it literally there's like multiple generations of this, right? So first it was, and this is just in one line, right? So first it was Sinatra feeling threatened by Elvis. And then who was Elvis threatened by?
I don't know.
Tell me. I know you know. No,
nobody.
You do know. It's 4
He's
people.
The king.
It's 4 people from Liverpool.
Oh, he felt threatened by the Beatles?
Yeah, he used to talk mad shit about the Beatles when they were coming out. You know about that?
No, I thought that was... Who did I say to you? Oh, I was talking about the Isley Brothers and the Beatles, how the Isley Brothers did not feel threatened by the Beatles. But
yeah, that's a whole different side topic, really. But no, Elvis, because he was the king, and then all of a sudden, the Beatles, these little, like, he's probably like, who are these fucking limey British fucks? Everybody loves them. All these girls are just throwing themselves at. They used to throw themselves at me, man. I used to be that guy. Who are these people?
They can't even dance.
Like Elvis was not a fan. They can't even shake their hips.
Yep.
They can't even break acoustic guitars. I don't even know if Elvis was doing that, but no, he was feeling very threatened by the Beatles.
That's so wild. I didn't know that. I really didn't know that.
It keeps going. Yeah, like the change just keeps going. And then I feel like the Beatles probably broke up before they really had a chance to be threatened by anybody else. Because they were really around for like a couple years, which is another crazy thing, but that's a whole other side topic.
Well, the Beatles slightly felt, these guys weren't older. This was just competition for music charts. They were slightly threatened by the Beach Boys when they were coming into American markets.
Yeah, but they're
not, the Beach Boys aren't like older than them. That's just competitive bands.
That's not really a old versus a young thing. That's just like, there's only so many records being sold. We want to sell more records. But they were like about the same age, I think. So I don't think that's necessarily the same. Right.
They were threatened, but they weren't threatened like, okay, these Beach Boys are going to take over our SHIT. You know?
I don't know how to spell. How do you say that?
Hits.
Oh,
I just kind of jumble the words around.
You have hits with dyslexia. True. Okay. But so I thought that was interesting how you can literally trace three generations of this happening. Well, the real question is, how did Sinatra feel about the Beatles? Well, did it skip a generation? Do you think that he was cool with the Beatles because he already went through this?
I wish I can Google it. I don't know for sure, but that would be interesting to know what Sinatra felt about the Beatles. Complex and evolved, from disdain to begrudging respect. Oh, God, Frank.
Wait, so what? So you've had an article, so what, Frank hated them at first?
Yeah. Initially, he disliked the new rock and roll sound and criticized the Beatles as kid singers, but he later acknowledged their talent, particularly calling George Harrison's Something the greatest love song of the past 50 years. Of course, it would be George. Right? Not the popular one, right?
Whoa. You're saying George wasn't popular, man?
He was one of the least popular in the group. At least 50% of the group was more popular than George.
I have no idea who you could possibly be referring to. But, well, that's interesting. And that kind of is par for the course of Frank. I feel like Frank was a bit of a jealous guy.
This is a quote from Frank Sinatra regarding the Beatles. He disliked rock and roll, really, but he called it a brutal, ugly, desperate, vicious form of expression.
I mean,
like the mafia.
Honestly, that sounds kind of cool. That wouldn't dissuade me from listening to rock if I heard anyone say that.
I know I would get probably jumped by Frank and his goons if I said, "Isn't that like a gangster?"
We don't talk about that here. Who else? So you had given some other James. You had said Etta James and Beyonce was a similar thing. Etta James didn't like Beyonce.
Yeah, because there was a point when there was a movie that came out called Cadillac Records, and Beyonce played Etta James's character, and she sang Etta James's great timeless classic "At Last." At last. And Etta James said, "I didn't even want her to play me. I don't even like Beyonce."
Interesting. So do you think that's do you think that's musically, like she felt threatened by her, or maybe she just didn't even like her music? Because I feel like there was a bigger gap in between.
Yeah, there's a bigger gap, but I feel like, I don't know. The older divas still feel like threatened by the new upcoming divas, because it was clear at this point that Beyonce is going to be like forged in music history in time. She's not just a come and go artist. She's going to be just as big as an Etta James, Billie Holiday, Diana Ross. She's going to be just like them. And in R&B music, I would say it had been a long time since we saw a Diana Ross or Aretha Franklin. Like, people have come by, they've had their own pockets. Like, I'm going to bring up Mary J. Blige a little bit later. But Mary J. Blige is more like hip-hop soul. She's not really straight-up R&B pop.
Right, there's more of a mixture of different things going on.
Yeah, and Etta James and like Diana Ross, these women were that. So they were like the last of the
Dying
Mohicans in a
breed.
way. Yeah, and then all of a
Last
sudden
of the
here comes
Mohicans.
Beyonce. Yeah,
Played by
and
Tom Cruise.
yeah, now they have to they have to share their space with her. So I can see a lot of divas being a little bit skeptical and also a little bit rude in regards to the next R&B queen. I remember Diana Ross saying something, accepting an award, and Beyonce was in the crowd, and she was like, saying something like, see, I didn't have to wear skimpy clothes to get where I needed to be. Like, it was kind of like a dig at Beyonce. It's just like, why are you even interested? You're there, you're here, and she's getting there. But
Well, I feel like that also could be another thing of just like, in general, like culture changing as you age. Because like back in the day, like, yeah, that wasn't really like wearing a bikini could have been controversial depending on what time you were. So it's like, seeing that could have been like, oh man, like just another way of knowing like, oh, the times are changing. You know what I mean? Like what I was doing is really not the thing anymore.
mm-hmm.
So again, I feel like it has to do with interpersonal, like, I guess jealousy at some points, but then also just more like cultural divides and generational divides. I think that's why it's such an interesting thing, because it's not just like, oh, well, I don't like you as a person.
No, it's just like I don't like what you represent. You represent the turn of the tide, me getting old and you being young, you know? And when you're a pop star, you're an entertainer. I mean, you represent youth. Even our older entertainers, they represent youth. They represent having fun, going out, having a good time, like,
Right.
you know? So they're always going to feel young even though they're old. So I can see them getting really upset about that. I literally Googled, switching to another set of people. I said, does Mariah Carey like Ariana Grande?
That's a good one. What do we have any
Well,
dirt?
people tried to pit them against each other, but Mariah actually loves Ariana very much, and they did a song together. So no, that did not happen.
See, that's beautiful. That's the way that it should be, because
Yeah.
I feel like it also. But wow, I didn't even think about this. So that could be another thing that's a product of really like the internet in the modern age that we live in, because I feel like back in the day, there were only so many people signed to so many labels. There was only so many vinyls being pressed. There was only so many CDs being released. So there was more competition, I feel.
Yeah.
But with the internet, like everybody could eat. You know what I mean? Like everybody can have an audience for themselves. So I feel like in the modern age, Mariah might see her more as like a companion than a threat, because it's like she's still Mariah is still extremely successful. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like she's obviously gone through her up and downs like everybody has in life, but I don't think she's ever really completely faded, you know, from the public eye. So I feel like her just might be like, oh shit, look at this girl. She's a great singer. Maybe we could be friends. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, so I think maybe in the modern day, it might be a little bit different. I'm trying to think of more modern examples now. Like,
Yeah, I would love that. I would feel like a new artist will keep me young, especially if we can be buddies, you know, I can give them tips and stuff like that. It would be great.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, staying a little bit on the R&B topic, there's Shaka Khan and Mary J. Blige. So, Shaka Khan has a song called Sweet Thing. Whoa, sweet thing. All right. And Mary J. Blige did it over. Okay. So, Mary J. Blige's style of singing, that is one woman who did represent the youth when she came out, because Mary didn't necessarily sing on key. A lot of her belts were kind of scratchy and screechy in a way, but it was like the pain that she was experiencing internally translated into the music, and somehow that was beautiful, you know. So Mary was known for going like, like, you know what I'm saying? And people may not think that that's singing per se.
Well,
So,
that's funny, because people always find something to talk shit about somebody. But it's like, well, that's kind of like more of like, we talked about this before. It's like in rock and roll, like you don't really have to have the greatest voice.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of a similar thing. It's kind of just like that attitude. It's like, no, like this is like what I have inside of me that I'm trying to say. Like, I don't care if I can sing the most beautiful runs or the craziest notes. It's like, no, like this is the emotion that I'm trying to express. Do I do it or do I not do it? You know what I mean? You don't have to be an opera singer to sing a pop song. You know
exactly. What I mean? But we all do know
That's
Shaka
also
Khan.
something that's changed over time, though.
Yeah, that's changed over time as well. We know Shaka Khan to have a very beautiful voice, you know. So this song, Sweet Thing, Shaka Khan cut to a little bit later after Mary J. Blige remade the song. Shaka Khan's performing Sweet Thing now live on stage. And she prefaces the song by saying, "This is the song Mary J. Blige effed up." And then she starts to sing it.
Wow. That's so unnecessary. And you know, it's
Truly.
funny because you can fight it or you can embrace it. Because I feel like if they were to do a song together, it would be one of the bigger things that either of them had ever done.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? But if you're just fight it, it's just like, why are you, I don't know, just creating unnecessary division, I think. But again, it goes back to what you're saying. Like, most people that are artists are a bit insecure about something. I mean, most people are insecure about things. You know what I mean? And I don't think this only has to do with art. I mean, imagine like you, let's say you work in finance, right? You're the best stockbroker Wall Street has ever seen. You've been the best stockbroker Wall Street has ever seen for like 10 years. And then all of a sudden, some new person, everybody's talking about how great they are and how much they're selling and how much blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden you're like, well, I'm still great, right? Everybody tell me that I'm great. How come we keep talking about them? So I feel like it's really just like a life thing. This is a deeper subject than I realized.
It's how you view life. Because I know my mom always told me, you know, back when I was younger, everybody wanted to get something before 25, before this, and my mom was like, life is not a race. You're not in a rush with anybody. Everybody gets to their time at their own time. And also, if you stay healthy and, you know, eat right, get enough sleep as much as you can, all that stuff, try not to party too much, you're gonna age really beautifully. So, you know, I try my best not to be insecure about somebody younger than me, because it's just like, look, man, I'm gonna try my best to look as good for my age as possible. I'm not going down that easy.
They're gonna look like in 10 years.
Yeah. So that's there's true. That. You know, so I mean, it's just how you're trained, you know, coming up. You know, if you're either trained to be insecure or you're trained not to be insecure. Something trains you to be that way. It could be parents, it could be life, it could be experience. It's just how you take things. But you can handle it like a class act. Okay, let's talk about the Eagles. Okay, so they were insecure about Bruce Springsteen coming up, right? Because that was the early 80s. Yeah, and at the late 70s, you know, the Beatles, the Eagles were like the hugest band, the most huge band of the 70s.
If the Beatles and the Eagles formed a band together, they'd be the Beagles.
We said that already, and we actually put a picture of a beagle on one of our podcasts. We did that. Yeah.
Guys, we're all out of ideas. We have nothing left original to say. Thank you so much for being here. Just kidding.
We're just like Hollywood.
Wow. God, okay, I'm just going to blame that on myself. Anyway, continue, please.
So they felt a little bit insecure about Bruce Springsteen. Now, this was one man, not a band, but he was in their genre of music. Pretty much, you know, same style, kind of rocking, a little bit, maybe a twang, a country dabbled in there with Bruce, but more hard rock, you know, saxophone type music. But they can easily be in the same category. So what Eagles did, what Don and Glenn did, is they wrote New Kid in Town, you know, Johnny Come Lately. So it's like everybody loves you until the next guy comes, you know? Yeah.
Can I give you a hot take right now?
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of family from Jersey that grew up in the 70s and 80s, and they all love Bruce Springsteen so much. I just never got it. Like, I've listened to a lot of his music, and it just never really did anything for me. I don't hate him. I'm not saying he's not good. He's clearly a good artist, but, like, I just don't get it, man. Maybe I'm missing something. Like, what do you think about Bruce?
I like some songs, but I'm not like a huge fan, and I never was a huge fan. I mean, I found some of the songs, you know, he's kind of like on a Mary J. Blige take, you know, is that really singing? Sometimes I'll hear him live, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
You're like, okay.
How many drinks did he have before he got on stage? That's what his voice sounds like. But there's some songs that I do like. I mean, you don't like this song, but I like I'm on Fire. I do like that one. And
I don't know. I just don't get it. People talk about it like he was like the best, the greatest songwriter and poet since like Bob Dylan. I'm like, yo, like, I don't get it. I don't get it.
That I don't
what
get.
I'm talking. You know that people talk about him like that.
Yeah, I don't think
get it.
he's.
I don't know.
Yeah, and even like
Tell me
before
if I'm
he
wrong.
was a
Tell me if
huge.
I'm wrong, people.
Yeah, but before he was a huge 80s sensation, I heard he was a 70s sensation too, and they really liked his songwriting more back then.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to hear some more songs from then. I have no idea.
But that's what I've listened to. I've listened to all of it. My parents had so many. I'm getting heated right now. I don't know why. Let me take it down. My parents had so many Springsteen CDs, and I would listen to them. And I just didn't get it, man. I don't know. I feel crazy. There's some good songs. I don't see him on that top tier level of artist. I just never did. But again, I'm not hating on him, and I love Asbury Park, New Jersey. It's a great place, but I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, there's some artists you're just not gonna get. There's some artists that I tolerate that I like, but I don't love, and I don't get like why they were so huge and why people were paying like hundreds to go see them. Another Jersey act, Bon Jovi. I don't really get it, but I know you like them, right? Okay.
No, I'm not really so big on that. Let me just say, actually, I hate them. I never liked them. I never liked a single song. No, they have some good ones, but no, I'm not a huge Bon Jovi guy either. That whole like 80s era, like I feel like the underground music in the 80s was really good, but some of the really popular shit in the 80s, like why?
Yeah, I never got that. And even when they trickled over into the 90s, I never really got it. I wasn't huge on like Motley Crue. I wasn't huge on Poison. I wasn't huge on Bon Jovi, but I do know a lot of those songs because they came on the radio until like the 90s.
No, so. And I know a lot of those songs too, but I feel like all those 80s metal bands were just trying to be Van Halen and just not as good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the definition of all of those bands is like, how close can you come to being Van Halen without being Van Halen? You know what I mean? Because they came out, the first album was like 78, so it's like by all of the 80s they had already been out, and they were already like the hugest rock band. So everybody's like, oh well, this is what it is now.
Exactly, and there was already a band that came close to being Van Halen. It was Van Halen with Sammy Hagar. So
Van Hagar. Well, that's a whole other thing. And it makes me it's funny because you were talking about how Mary J, sometimes like her singing, people don't really call it singing. Mm-hmm. The greatest example of that, I think, maybe ever, is David Lee Roth.
Yeah.
Because some of the shit that he does, if you listen to an isolated vocal track of David Lee Roth, you're like, what is he doing?
Yeah, exactly. But there's no better frontman. Yeah, there's no better. I mean, he's 100 million times better than Sammy. I don't care how well Sammy can sing. You're not David Lee.
Yeah, you heard it here first. You heard it here first 30 years later.
After the fact. What I do love is the Pete Townsend, Jimmy Page.
Oh, yeah, go on about that. Yeah, so Pete Townsend from The Who was talking shit about Jimmy Page from Led Zeppelin.
Yes, because he couldn't stand that was the next up-and-coming band. Now, I put these bands together in terms of era of music. I don't even feel like The Who was that far ahead, but they were. I mean, they had the black and white, they had the mod look, and this was when Jimmy was still doing studio work and probably fiddling around with the Yardbirds and stuff, way before Zeppelin. So, the artistic work of The Who, the smashing of the guitar, the wild way that Pete would play, he felt like, Jimmy was kind of swagger jacking that a little bit. And he felt like Jimmy wasn't as good of a guitar player. He felt like Jimmy played a little sloppy. But I mean, this is also it too.
Don't just piss me off.
Jimmy does play a little bit sloppy, but that's it. It's like, you have to have it. You know what I'm saying? And Jimmy had it. Like, it doesn't matter. He did play a sloppy. Listen, I saw a clip of Jimmy Page playing in the 90s. And he's playing and playing. I forgot. There's like a million artists on stage and he's playing so sloppily. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. This is the 90s when he had the dyed black afro-ish hair, was a little bit overweight, looked like he was recovering. Didn't look too great, but he's playing. And somebody in the comments goes, this is when he was influenced by the styles of Steven Seagal and Johnny Depp.
Steven Seagal? Oh my God. What a joke. Wow. I haven't even thought about Steven Seagal in a long time. That's hilarious. Damn, I didn't even know. That's one I didn't know about. I didn't know that Pete Townsend was talking shit about, like Page in particular or Led Zeppelin?
Page in particular. Page is guitarmanship. And and Zeppelin too as a band, but definitely made a comment about Jimmy Page.
You know who was talking shit about Led Zeppelin? And I had sent you this yesterday, completely unrelated to anything that we were talking about in this podcast, was somebody that we love to hate on this channel, and his name is Eric Clapton. And he said that they already had a strong blues rock foundation going, and then Led Zeppelin took it somewhere that he didn't really have a great deal of admiration for. Really, might that be because they were selling out stadiums and breaking attendance records while you were just fucking doing heroin on a bed somewhere?
Yeah. Yeah, more of a copycat style, and they were being innovative. I think that was the problem there, or, the great standout.
Yeah, I mean, this thing, like, I love blues, but it's a very specific thing musically. And Led Zeppelin obviously started like that, but then you listen to more of their albums and they're clearly just expanding way more than just like a standard blues. They're bringing in all these other instruments and they're doing other things. So I feel like if you're just like a standard blues guitarist, be like, man, Led Zeppelin, man, they're not even blues, bro. I don't even know what they're doing over there, bro.
No, they're not blues.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. That could be a compliment depending on who you are.
Correct.
So I would like to take a second to say fuck Clapton.
The clap is what we call him here.
I don't give a shit about the clap, bruh. Who else do we have? Do we have any more examples that we wanted to
Yeah, I was going to go in my text to see if I sent you anything else. All the examples that I sent was all I had in my brain.
Yeah. I mean, it's a pretty common thing. I feel like in general, this is like a more general thing. I feel like in general, a lot of 70s rockers were threatened by punk rock.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's a new wave. Kids look different. It's a new set of angered kids. Yeah, you're not as angry as these kids, buddy. Well,
and then also there was this kind of like a snobbery about it because the whole point of punk rock was like you didn't really have to know how to play your instrument that well. You just had to have, like we were saying before, like you just had to have the energy. You just had to have the vibe.
Yep.
So if you're somebody that had been taking like lessons your whole life and learning how to be like the most fantastic guitarist ever, and then you see these kids coming up, these dirty kids with their leather jackets and their ripped jeans, and they're just playing 3 chords as fast as they possibly can. They'd be like, "What is this? This isn't music. I don't care about this." But the kids loved it, and punk rock is still around, man. And punk rock still has a hold on kids, man. Like I feel like young kids that are playing music, they still gravitate towards punk rock because there's always just something so anti-establishment about it. Even when it's like pop punk, there's something about punk rock that is more geared towards youth than like other kinds of rock, I think.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm not young anymore, so who knows?
Yeah. This is not about rock, but I did have this. I went through my text just now. This was huge for years and still kind of goes on. Lil' Kim and Nicki Minaj. My goodness. Okay. Lil' Kim hates her.
And then that goes in a line too. There's 3 generations of that too.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's coming down. Yeah, because you're talking about Cardi B, right? Yeah. Okay. So in the beginning, let me just set the stage for you. Lil' Kim, new hip hop artist. She had Biggie Smalls, one of the hugest hip hop artists of all time. She was his protege. She came out. Biggie. Baby. We're all gonna be honest here. Now that we're in the future, Biggie wrote like all of Lil' Kim's lyrics. Okay, and if he wasn't writing her lyrics, it was people that produced tracks had her guest star on their tracks. Let's say Money, Power, Respect, right? It's the key to life. Money, Power, Respect. She didn't write that hook. You know what I'm saying? The Lox wrote that hook. For a song with Mobb Deep.
Can I say one thing? Can I say one thing here? I feel like anyone that actually writes, that's ever written songs or raps themselves, it's always extremely clear that Biggie was writing those raps.
Yeah.
Because nobody else wrote like that.
Nobody else wrote like that.
That style, that flow. Yeah.
She pretty much sounded just like him. And rest in peace to Prodigy, who died also when Lil' Kim did
from Mobb Deep.
Yeah, from Mobb Deep. They did the Quiet Storm remix. it's clear that Prodigy wrote those lyrics when she rapped on the remix. And then she had a song called "The Jump Off" in 2004, and the producer was Mr. Cheeks from a group called the Lost Boys out in Queens. It was very clear Mr. Cheeks wrote that song. So Lil' Kim had a lot of ghostwriters coming up, but she is a hip-hop icon. She was the first hip-hop artist to come out with all the colored wigs and all the outfits and stuff like that. But I do want to say that, I want to interject and say that in Brooklyn, here, no matter if you're in an American neighborhood like Bed-Stuy, where Kim is from, or if you're down here in East Flatbush, you get a lot of Caribbean influence in black culture. You know, Biggie's Jamaican, but he's a hip-hop artist. And I'm pretty sure somebody in Kim's family comes from the Caribbean. So her style was pretty much taken from the dance hall. It wasn't necessarily something that she came up with herself. There were tons of girls walking around Brooklyn with yellow wigs and stuff like that, going out to party and weird outfits.
Right.
So Lil' Kim, Biggie dies.
On that, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And I was gonna say, to continue on that, isn't Nicki Trinidadian?
Yes, and she's also from the New York area. Yeah. She's from Queens, you know. So, exactly. So, you know, I'm just trying to, like, walk us into this. So now, cut to years later, Biggie's dying, Biggie's dead. Lil' Kim is pretty much a free agent. So she's looking for, like, a home, like a new big guy to be under, because that's just the type of, not just artist she is, that's the type of person she is. She's not going to start her own record label. She's not going to sign a bunch of artists. She's not that girl. She needs somebody to sign her.
She's
like
not
an
the
LL.
leader.
Right. LL Cool J is like that too. Somebody signs him. He's not going to start a label. He might host a concert. But anyway, so she's looking for a new label, and Cash Money Records from New Orleans. New Orleans? Or New Orleans?
New Orleans.
You know what I'm saying? Do I say it the old Brooklyn way, or do I say it the right way? Anyway.
Say it the old Brooklyn way?
New Orleans. See, it's like different, it's a different rhythms. New Orleans.
I like the old way better. It sounds
all right. So they were from New Orleans, and so then they sign her. So what she's saying is they pretty much had Nicki shadow her. They had Lil' Kim under the impression that she was going to get signed. They were going to write new albums for her. They were going to revamp Lil' Kim and bring her back out to everybody like, guess who's back? So, and that was not the case. You know, they just studied Lil' Kim, and they pretty much gave Lil' Kim's mojo that was created with Cash Money to Nicki Minaj. This is what Kim is alluding to, you know. So, bam. So they kind of drop Kim, and here comes Nicki Minaj, signed by Cash Money Records, right? So at first, Nicki was just like a street rapper, no wigs, no anything, but she had a heavy pen, you know. She was writing all her rhymes, and she's an excellent rapper. So to boost her into the pop era, to make her make more money so that she becomes more of a global superstar, they sprinkled a little bit of Lil' Kim on her, right? So they had her wear different wigs, you know, they bonded her teeth, they gave her breast implants, you know what I'm saying? They just changed her.
Yeah, I'm laughing because it sounded like you're describing a recipe. Okay, you take one heavy pen, you take one little sprinkle of Kim, you mix it all together, you put it in the blender, and then you get,
exactly. But the thing is here, okay, so like we said, Nicki's already Caribbean. She already knows about the wigs and the outfits. We all already know about that. It's just one person decided to wear it out in public. So, and Nicki's getting bigger, and she meets Kim. She raps about Kim. She says, who's the greatest in the world? Foxy Brown, another rapper, Foxy, Nicki, and Kim, right? So she gives Kim her dues and all this stuff. But then Nicki starts to blow up more than any female rapper ever did. Ever. Like a global phenomenon. It's crazy. She's doing something that every female rapper wanted to do. And it's not just Lil' Kim that did this to her. Apparently there was a group chat with a bunch of older female rappers that used to just talk shit about Nicki Minaj because they couldn't believe where she had gotten to. Like, how could this possibly happen? You know, so that's the unfortunate part of it, you know, because Nicki's kind of like alone at the top, you know?
Yeah, and you can kind of tell with what she's doing now. She definitely feels very isolated, you can tell. Yeah, lots of ranting. Lots of ranting, especially about, and then so now we go to the most recent generation, Cardi B, right? What is she, like, Dominican?
Yeah, she's Dominican.
So we're still talking about Caribbean influence here.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's coming out and she's from the Bronx. So and they're all different boroughs too. Do you think that has anything to do with it?
It's a battle.
Brooklyn versus Queens versus the Bronx. And then now they got a whole beef because I guess Cardi, she's not even really that successful, but the machine is pumping her out to be like the next. And I always thought it was stupid. Their beef. It's like, can there really only be one successful female rapper at a time? Like I always thought that was ridiculous. Like the way that it was structured, because they always. I feel like I don't know that I really saw Cardi like going against Nicki until it became like a media thing. It became they were kind of pitted against each other. Yeah. And then they ended up both kind of feeding into it, but I don't even feel like they even started it.
No, I don't think so either. I think the machine does that too.
Yeah.
The machine uses you as much as they can, and they get sick of you. And they're like, we got to find a way to get rid of this. We need a new generation of followers. Our current followers are growing up and they're getting too smart, right?
But also, the machine benefits from the conflict because the more that they're talking shit about each other, they're really boosting each other up in a way. Like, you know, it's like talking about like, oh, like mentioning other people in a song boosts them up. So that's why some people say like, oh, you're not even big enough for me to mention in a song. Right. But if they're talking about each other all the time, it's really just probably good for sales for both of them. That's what they're going for. But that's a whole other conversation too, as far as the machine. So welcome to the machine. Yeah. But yeah, so that's really, I guess, the most modern version of what we're talking about here. But there's a lot of examples. We've gone through a lot. I want to say thank you guys for listening. This has been another episode of Music Maniacs with Side After Dark. We're Side After Dark. We're Music Maniacs. We love you and we appreciate you. See you next time.
See ya.